People who have walked in darkness have seen a great light. I've always been interested in how we begin the Christmas season in the evening. Traditionally, in the dead of night, we leave our homes and brave the cold and the dark and enter the church with its warmth and that soft glow. We pry ourselves from our individual lives and join together as a community to share in the light that Christ has brought into our world. But beyond the literal darkness, we all face figurative darkness in our lives. The bills don't stop. The kids need to be fed. The dog needs to be walked. There are phone calls to make, deals to secure, hospitals to visit, funerals to attend. When we turn on the news, we see others dealing with much more horrid conditions. Wars and rumors of wars have defined the Christmas season for far too long. The world is full of hurt and hatred, and we are surrounded on all sides by those who see us as customers or votes or threats, roadblocks, or anything other than a human being. It's hard out there, and so we come together because we have a sense that we cannot do this thing called life alone. We recognize that we need help and encouragement, but even that cannot always suffice. We are all human after all. We will miss phone calls. We will forget appointments and birthdays and anniversaries. We'll neglect this for that or emphasize that over this. We will disappoint others and ourselves. And so what does God have to say about this? Quite a lot, it seems. But perhaps most shockingly, what we hear from God about our struggles is not necessarily any specific words to make us feel better, but the Word made specifically into flesh to make us more human. We've witnessed something unbelievable. Wisdom herself became flesh. The second person of the Trinity, the Word, in whom all things find their cause, took on our nature. Veiled in flesh, the Godhead see. Hail the incarnate deity. Pleased on earth with us to dwell, Jesus, our Emmanuel. What we find in the Christ child is that God has lit a candle in our darkness. And when you light a candle in a dark room, you realize that the candle does not flood the room with light, but rather it shows us how dark things really are. We find that we've been shown the way out of our darkness, the truth of our lostness, and the life that we have been called to, and that this child is the only thing that matters. The vague feeling of loneliness, of misunderstanding, the existential longing for purpose, the never-ending quest for meaning, all of it fades away as Mary gives birth to the hope of the entire cosmos. And whether, like the shepherds, you are drudging away in the monotony of daily life, punching the clock, waiting for something, though you don't know exactly what, or whether you're like the wise men, searching high and low for some kind of sign that we are not put here to pay bills and die, all of us find the source and summit of our lives in this feeding trough, surrounded by filth and love, fear and hope. We do not find in Christ any kind of general love. There is nothing quite so romantic about him. We find rather a man, and yet our God, who loves us not generally, but specifically. He is a real person, no more an abstraction than me or you. We find in him that our need for love is met eye to eye, cheek to cheek. We find the vision of love perfected and focused in his gaze as he peers not from the heights of heaven where we could never reach him, but from his own height as he stands next to us. The coming of Christ is the coming of love on earth, but not as a symbol. Those are too easy to form into our own image. As a person, as one of us, someone who will not so easily conform to our ideas about him because he is his own, and he longs to make us his own as well. And because of this, as Auden said, we are bold to say that we have seen our salvation. We have seen the redemption of each of our lives, the fulfillment of all of our hopes. Over the next 12 days, we will remember this miracle of the incarnation, and we will strive and yet fail to grasp what has occurred. We will fail because we will never fully grasp what happened on that first Christmas. Our poems and our hymns and sermons and prayers, as beautiful as they are, will never fully capture the scandal of God's love for us, which is so great that God became one of us. And so as you leave here tonight, and you see the love of your family, the beauty of the season, the joy in your children's eyes, or the hope kindled in your own soul, know that as good as it is, it gets better. And if you don't have a family, if you're spending Christmas alone, if you're unable to see the things that mean so much to everyone else, know this: it gets better. For the same Lord who was born this night has said, I am with you always, even to the end of the ages. We are never alone. We are never abandoned. We are never a second option. Always remember that God, in all of his wisdom and might, chose to become flesh, to dwell with you. God became flesh to dwell with you in all of your joys. God became flesh to dwell with you in all of your pain. God became flesh to dwell with you in all of your successes and failures, faults and triumphs. God has looked upon your life in the fullness of your person and has said, him, her, them. These are the people for whom I will defy all logic. These are the people for whom I, the unbreakable, will become broken. The Creator will become a creature. The King will become a slave. Love will become hated. And the life that will become death. And it's all for you. Every breath, every tear, every laugh. And it all started with that precious infant through whom all things were made. He is for you. And you, and you, and you.